talk to you about something that's very important to your health today. And I've been a pharmacist for 30 years. And over that time, what have I seen? I've seen an epidemic of medical illnesses and medical conditions that are getting worse and worse as time goes on. We've seen an epidemic in obesity. We've seen an epidemic in diabetes. We've seen an epidemic in heart disease and strokes. And we've also seen an epidemic in cancer. So 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, people didn't think it was the norm. When they heard that, oh my God, somebody died of a heart attack or somebody has cancer, they didn't look at it and say, it's just, there's another person that had that. They say, oh my goodness, I can't believe it happened to that person. It was very, very unusual and very rare. If you go back 80, 90 years ago, there was very little heart disease. Actually, there was probably none at all. If you go around the world to some other countries, which I did mention to you last time, for example, in Okinawa in Japan, the home of the Karate Kid, in the Papua Highlands of New Guinea, in rural China, in Central Africa, and in the population called the Tarahumara Indians of northern Mexico. If you're a cardiologist there, you're going to be out of work. You've got to find another job because heart disease does not exist there. So what is the difference between the populations in those countries and our population here in North America? The difference is the diet that we eat. The diet that we eat, which is called the North American diet, or the Western diet, or the Standard American diet, which has a nice acronym called SAD, the SAD diet. So the diet is the root cause of all the medical ailments that we have today, the most common ones, and that is the reason why there's an epidemic going on. But the thing is, we've become accustomed to our lifestyle. We've become accustomed to taking medications. We have insurance to cover our medications, right? So if there's any medication that can treat our heart disease or diabetes, hey, we're going to get it. We have a great coverage. I've been a pharmacist, as I said, for so long, for 30 years, and not once do I recall anybody getting cured. What happens is the patients are managed and they're maintained. Their condition is maintained. Like we talked about test strips before. You control your diabetes, your blood sugar, by checking your test strips and taking your medication. And of course, diet is always advised to have a low-fat diet, low dairy, low fat, and also doing some exercise, right? However, doing all that has not cured anybody. And it's like this example, I like analogies sometimes. And it's like you were born in Essex or in Kingsville or in Leamington, and you grew up there, and out there it's more peaceful, easygoing, lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. And then when you became 25 years old, you said, now I won the lotto, I'm going to go buy a new Pacifica from Essex countryside, and I'm going to drive down to Florida. Because there's a place in Florida that's just like Essex, just like Kingsville, and I'm going to retire there. So, you set off in your car, but as you're driving, you realize, hey, wait a minute, I got two choices to make. I can either go down Huron Church and take the existing Ambassador Bridge, right? Or, I know that the government built a new, they spent millions of dollars on this beautiful new highway, which will take me to the Gordie Howe Bridge. So I got two choices. Which one am I going to do? Well, if you went today, and you had to make that decision, and if you didn't know any better, you'd say, you know what? It's a lot cooler for me to take the Gordie Howe Bridge, because I don't like Matty Maroon, blah, blah, blah. I want to take the Gordie Howe Bridge. So you go down the parkway, brand new parkway, everything's beautiful, and you're going down and you get to the bridge, and you drive right off the end and straight into the Detroit River, right? Because there's no bridge there. So there's nobody there at that moment that's going to help you, that's going to save you. Along the way, though, there's some signs that says, hey, bridge is not open, bridge is not built. Right? But I love riding my new Pacifica, you know, speeding a little bit, 5-10 kilometers, going down Highway 3 to the new bridge. It's the same with our diet. Unfortunately, our diet and our lifestyle is such the case where we go along this road and we get to this cliff. And when we get to the cliff and we say, oh my God, now I've gone too far, I don't want to fall off. Hey, let's go to see the doctor. Let's go to see the pharmacist. Let's go get an angiogram. Let's go get a stent. Oh, I need a coronary bypass. I'll go to London and get coronary bypass. Right? Those are not cures. Those are not, they won't cure you. They help prevent the onset of the disease, but they're not going to cure your problem. The only way to cure your problem today, to go to Florida in your brand new Pacifica, is to take the Ambassador Bridge. It's an older bridge. It's been traveled a lot. It's got its pros and cons, but that's the way to go. You got to take the route where there is a bridge to get to that destination. Who wants to live to 100 years old? Is that all? Just a few people? Come on, guys. Everybody wants to live to 100 years old. And you know what? You know what? You can do that. Everyone can live to 100 years old. How can you do that? By taking your health in your own hands. By taking initiative and not thinking that a pill will cure you or a medical condition will cure you. You have to acquire the knowledge to be able to get informed instead of driving down Highway 3 and waiting to cross the Gordie Howe Bridge. So I'm here today to give you that knowledge, to empower you a bit. How much time do I have, Jerry? 10-15 minutes. I have 10 minutes to help you guys live to 100. Wow, that's a pretty big challenge. But you know what? I'm going to teach you another Greek word. It's called pathos. Have you ever heard of pathos? Anybody knows what it means besides the Greeks in the room? Pathos means passion. So I have a passion for what I'm going to talk about in the next 10 minutes. And my passion is, what I've been alluding to this whole time, is that you can prevent disease and you can reverse disease by following a whole food plant-based diet. A whole food plant-based diet, I talked about this last time I was here for you that were here, is simply a diet. It's not even a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's not a fad diet. It's a lifestyle where there's many people that are getting excited about this in the United States and Canada. There's many lead physicians who have written books, like Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn of the Cleveland Clinic, who has treated Bill Clinton, who I believe has treated Samuel L. Jackson, and many other famous people to help prevent and reverse their heart disease. There's Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, these are all board-certified physicians, who's written his latest book, which my wife and I had an opportunity to go to Michigan and see him speak in person in front of about 500 people at a local high school. It's called Fast Food Genocide. There's another physician who's written a book called The China Study. His name is Dr. T. Colin Campbell. Now, if you want me to give you a prescription today, I'll give you a prescription. These two doctors, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. T. Colin Campbell, they're both in their mid-80s. Dr. Caldwell Campbell is a nutritional biochemist. And Dr. Esselstyn was a surgeon who's now developed the prevent and reverse heart disease. And these are based on studies, scientific studies. My prescription to you is go home, and if you don't have Netflix, or get your kids or grandkids to give you Netflix, or I'm going to be having it on my pharmacy as a CD, and it's called Forks Over Knives. Has anybody watched Forks Over Knives? Oh, excellent. Anybody else? So that features these two physicians, Dr. Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn. It's about a 2-hour documentary. In addition to that, there's another documentary called What the Health. What the Health, not H-E-L-T-H. And if those don't give you some passion. There's another one done by an Australian former, well actually still a multi-millionaire, called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. So these are 3 good documentaries that if you get a chance, get some popcorn with no oil, you can sit there with a glass of water or decaffeinated coffee, decaffeinated tea, and watch them with your family or loved ones, whatever. And I'm sure that they will give you, will enlighten you tremendously. So the whole food plant-based diet helps prevent heart disease, helps prevent diabetes, and helps prevent cancer. There's many forms of cancer that are not nutrition related, but we're talking about the common cancers. For example, prostate cancer. Prostate cancer has been closely linked to eating the consumption of red meat. Okay? As a matter of fact, the World Health Organization, who lists things that are called carcinogenic. You know what carcinogenic means? It means that they cause cancer. So the World Health Organization has listed, and you're not surprised, smoking as a class 1 carcinogen. So if you have tobacco smoke, it's a well-known cause of cancer, right? Does anyone know that the World Health Organization has also listed processed meats as a class 1 carcinogen? So if you sat down to Thanksgiving dinner and you had your kids and grandkids there, did you give them some cigarettes to smoke and put it on there next to their table? No. But did you give them some prosciutto or some salami, or did you take them to the Windsor Spitfires and buy them a hot dog? Those are all processed meats, and they are classified by the World Health Organization as class 1 carcinogens, known to cause cancer.
What about if you make it at home?
Well, depending on the process, because anything that when you barbecue, like barbecue, for example, when you barbecue food, you got to be very careful because that can also cause carcinogens on the meat. Because when they get, very burnt and this and that, those are carcinogens. Homemade, it probably has the same type of thing. You got to be careful. Yeah. And then meat itself can also cause heart disease and diabetes. How does it do that? We're going to leave carbohydrates out for a second. We're going to leave out breads and pastas and rice and all that stuff, because we know that breads, pastas, and rice, they increase our blood sugar, right? And we know that diabetics, 80% of the diabetics that die from heart disease. So somebody who has diabetes, they're very prone to heart disease. Okay? But we're going to talk about meat for a second. Meat, fowl, chicken, turkey, fish, they all have animal protein. And animal protein, what does it do to you? It increases this hormone in your blood called IGF-1. IGF-1 is insulin-like growth factor. This is one of the hormones that it increases. So when we eat meat when we're young, it's helpful because we're growing. We're getting bigger, right? Like a little kid or a teenager is getting bigger. But when we get to adult, when we become an adult, we don't want to grow anymore. We want to maintain the slim look everybody had in their 30s and 20s and 40s maybe, right? Back in the 50s, 60s, right? When you looked around at people, you guys remember, and a lot of you came from the old country, a lot of people, they were thin. And now you look around and say, oh, well, it's accepted that everybody's a little bit overweight. I have nothing against being overweight. Overweight is just a storage of energy. Because as you eat, you store the energy because your body can't use it that whole time. Okay? But just remember how you used to be when you were in your 20s and 30s. That's the vision you have to have. And I see there's a lot of elderly people here. And I'm not saying, that, by all means, if you're not able to do that, it's a failure. Even if you try a little bit and take some steps, it'll help you in the long run. Okay, it'll help you to get down to Florida. Because the meat itself, we don't need meat. We don't need meat as the main source of protein. Our bodies are very capable of getting enough protein from legumes, from green beans, navy beans, lentils, chickpeas and all that stuff. You can make a lot of nice soups and a lot of nice goulashes and all that stuff. So the things to avoid are meat, dairy, because it has animal protein and cholesterol. Eggs, again, because it has animal protein. And oil. So if you don't have heart disease, you can have a little bit of oil, because, you know, we like the olive oil from Italy and Greece and wherever, right? But don't go overboard, because oil, even if it's olive oil, can increase your cholesterol, and it has a lot of calories. It makes you heavier. Right? So just keep that in mind. I want to be wrapping it up right now, and I just want to let everyone know, take your health in your own hands. Don't depend on the medications to make you reach 100. Don't depend on the surgeries and all that stuff. The best, most healthiest thing you can do is try to lose weight, get to a nice, slimmer weight, because that helps your body be able to withstand all the pressures that are put on it by the North American diet. Does anyone have any questions?
The kitchen is closed.
There you go. That's one way to start.
Can you stay for lunch?
That's a good question. Just so you know, like, I started doing this last year. I started doing this last year, and it's been actually 11 months till today. Well, actually, till the 19th of April. And in those 11 months, I was able to, I had some shortness of breath. And so I was able to reverse that shortness of breath, and I also lost 35 to 40 pounds in the meantime. So I feel a lot better. And the only other thing that I did was walking, at least 5-6 times a week, just 30 minutes. So if you can do the diet and walking, you'll see that in 2, 3, 4 months, you're going to have a great change, a positive change in your health. Order. Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Our parents and grandparents who talked about being thinner and lighter and all that stuff, smaller. Well, they used to eat all the meats too all back then. So what's
I gotta.
they worked harder, I know that.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I'm going to answer that with a little joke. So there's these two Greek women at church, and they're 95 years old. And the one Greek woman says to I'm saying Greek because I'm Greek, right? Could be Italian, could be Polish, could be. Says, Easter's coming up. And she says, "Oh, Sophia, why do I see that you're so worried?" She goes, "Oh, Maria." She goes, "Thanksgiving we ate meat. Christmas we ate meat. Now Easter's coming again. If we eat meat, I hope nothing bad happens to us." I don't think they ate that much meat back then.
No, they weren't much. They weren't much in the past. That's why they wasn't
afford to buy it.
It was a yearly thing. It wasn't a 3-4 times a day, let's eat meat. Thank you.